Hello. It's finally time I speak my truth. No more holding back. No more dancing around your questions. No more half answers. I owe you this, and it's long overdue. I know you've been silently waiting to understand what's really been going on. I know the situation between us hasn't made sense, and I can only imagine how painful the confusion has been for you. You've probably wondered every day whether I ever really loved you or if I was just stringing you along. Whether I've been lying to both of you, living a double life, or whether you were just someone temporary to me, someone I kept in the background while I made my real decisions elsewhere. You deserve more than those doubts. You deserve the truth. So here it is. The reason I haven't left the third person in this situation isn't about love. It's not about passion. It's not because I care for them more than I care for you. That's not it at all. In fact, if you only knew how deeply you've impacted me, how much space you've taken up in my mind, my heart, you would understand that you're the one I think about at night. You're the one whose name sits in the quiet moments between my thoughts. You're the one I see in dreams, even when I try not to. But my silence, my lack of clarity, it's hurt you. I know that. I've watched your light dim because of it. I felt the shift in your energy, the heaviness in your tone when you stopped asking me to choose. I felt your sadness when you stopped hoping for my return, and I've hated myself for causing that pain. Let me explain what's been keeping me stuck. The third person made me a promise, not a romantic one, not an intimate one, but a promise that touched a part of me I didn't even know was still bleeding. It was a promise about stability, about security, about a future where I wouldn't have to worry about failing, falling, or being left behind again. At the time, I was emotionally vulnerable, maybe even desperate. I was facing some internal storms, and I didn't have the strength to keep rebuilding myself from scratch. And in the middle of all the confusion, this person showed up, not as a soulmate, not as a lover in the truest sense, but as a lifeline. They told me they'd help me get my life back on track, that I wouldn't have to carry the weight of everything alone, that they'd support me when no one else would. It was easy to cling to that when everything inside me was breaking. But here's the painful truth. What once felt like support slowly became a kind of quiet prison. And instead of healing, I started shrinking. I began losing my sense of who I was. I stayed not because it felt right, but because it felt familiar. And then, you appeared. You changed everything. You didn't offer me safety. You offered me truth. You didn't wrap me in false promises. You looked at me with eyes that saw my soul. You spoke words that challenged me, pulled me out of my comfort zone, made me feel things I hadn't felt in a long time, things I thought I'd buried. With you, I felt alive again. But I also felt afraid, because loving you meant risking everything that had kept me safe. It meant walking away from the structure that was holding me upright, even if it was also holding me back. I wish I could tell you that I chose love the moment it showed up in you. I wish I could say I was brave enough to leave behind the past as soon as you entered my life. But that wouldn't be the truth. The truth is, I stayed stuck. I let my fear of the unknown get louder than the calling of my heart. I kept hoping that somehow I could navigate both worlds without causing pain. But that was never realistic. And all it did was create more damage for you, for me, and for the third person too. I want you to know something with all sincerity. I've never used you. Not for attention, not for validation, not for comfort. What I felt and still feel for you is real. It's sacred. You were never a backup plan. You were the one my soul quietly whispered for at night. You were the one I smiled about without even knowing I was smiling. You were the one I felt pulled to when I was trying to feel nothing at all. But love, as powerful as it is, can't survive indefinitely in confusion. And I realize now that I've pushed you to your limit. I've kept you in emotional limbo. I've made you question your worth. And that's something I never wanted to do. I know you must be wondering, why didn't I just walk away from the third person if it wasn't love? If I didn't feel the same for them as I do for you, then what kept me there? The answer is hope. Not hope in them, but in the life I thought they could help me build. A fantasy, really. A dream that maybe they could somehow repair the broken parts of my world. Maybe they could help me fix everything I couldn't fix on my own. But that fantasy has been fading for a long time now. And the truth is, I don't even believe in it anymore. I've been holding on to something that doesn't exist. And now, standing here emotionally stripped and fully honest, I see that I've been holding on to a lifeline that's already unraveled. I've been afraid to fall. But what if falling is exactly what I need to do in order to finally be free? And what if you, were never a detour, but the destination? I don't know where you are right now, emotionally. I don't know if you still think of me when you're alone. I don't know if you still believe in the possibility of us. But if there's even a small part of your heart that's still open to me, then I want to come home to you. Not as the broken version of myself who couldn't choose, but as the person who finally understands what real love is. But if you've moved on, if this message has come too late, if you've already found the peace I couldn't give you, I will accept that. I'll hold space for your healing and be grateful that I got to feel what I felt with you, even if just for a while. Because knowing you, loving you, has changed me. It's made me braver. It's shown me what it means to want something not just for comfort, but for truth. And no matter how this ends, you'll always be the person who reminded me who I really am. Before I close, I need to say this. You were never too much. You were never asking for too much. You were never imagining things. You were not delusional for feeling that something sacred existed between us. Because it did. It does. I just wasn't ready to rise to meet it until now. So, what happens next? Maybe you'll choose to walk away and never look back. Maybe you'll protect your heart, as you should, and start again with someone who chooses you without question. If that's your path, I honor it completely. But maybe, just maybe, you'll let me prove that I can choose differently now. That I can love you with both feet in, with no lingering shadows, no unspoken doubts, and no more third person between us. I know it'll take more than words. I know trust isn't something that can be rebuilt overnight. But if there's a bridge left between us, I'm willing to crawl across it to get to you. Because this time, I choose love. I choose you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your patience, your grace, your unspoken prayers for my healing. Whether our paths cross again or not, I'll always carry your love like a lantern, something that guided me out of a very long, very dark tunnel. You were the light I didn't know I needed. And now, I see clearly. Yours, me.